So this is Greg from Traxda, and I am doing this video to talk to you about finding a noise. So we sell thousands and thousands of lift kits, and I answer the phone calls when you call for tech support. And occasionally we get a call. I put the kit in, I've got a noise. How do I get rid of the noise? How do I find the noise? I took it to a bunch of shops, nobody wants to touch it, nobody wants to find my noise. So I use kind of a framework to break down how I find a noise in a vehicle. After doing this for 20 years, you develop some tricks. So I kind of break it down to groups of noises. So is it bump dependent? You go over a certain bump in a certain spot and you get a noise. And it's only that one bump and only that one spot. Or is it speed dependent? I only get a noise at 70 miles an hour on the freeway, or I only get a noise at 3 miles an hour in a parking lot. And let's break down how those go. So we'll start with noises on bumps. If you get a noise in a parking lot, like you're driving through the grocery store parking lot at 5 miles an hour, the windows are down, you hear this clickety click, 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 or little pavement ripples, I would start investigating at the sway bar links. So sway bar links are a ball and socket. You tighten it up, but you gotta hold the center while you're tightening the outside. And you can't do that with an impact gun, and everyone wants to do it the lazy and fast way, me too, with the impact gun. But you really should always go back and double check those. So if it's a lightweight tick, tick, tick noise, I would look at the sway bar links. If you go over a large bump or a big G-out and you hear this groaning noise or it's kind of a weird, like just through the whole vehicle, I would look towards the subframe. Now here is the bottom of a Honda Ridgeline. In red is where the subframe bolts are, the main 14 millimeter subframe bolts. In blue is where the subframe support bolts go. Those are 12 millimeter bolts. And in yellow is where the 10 millimeter bolts are for holding the top of the struts. If you're getting a big groan over large noise, or it feels like everything's shaking apart, I would go through and I would took these red ones to 140 foot-pounds. That's a good hard pull for a guy my size. So, and then the blue ones, I would do them at 75 foot-pounds. And the yellow, I would do at 45 foot-pounds. So these are the primary things that connect the suspension subframes to the vehicle, right? You are connected through these red dots, and then those red dots are supported by the blue dots. The yellow is the top. So you've got the lower part, and then the top is where the strut goes in on the front. And those are the main connections you have between the suspension and the unibody. So 140, 75, 45, go through and retorque those. Whenever we do a new lift kit development, we're often like, just try something, drive around the block. We're not torquing things down. Every time I get a groan, it's the subframe bolt, 140, noise goes away, we're on to it. If you get a noise that's with speed, it's either with engine RPM or it's with vehicle speed. And you might think it's the same thing, but it's actually different. So if it's with engine RPM, it is before the transmission. It's before it gets to the drivetrain, right? So you can look around things that are related to engine rotation that will give you the noise. So in the development of the 3.5-inch kit for the Ridgeline, we used my truck. My truck's been taken apart 10 or 20 times. I have no idea how many times at this point. And at one point, the motor mount was not bolted up properly. It was not tightened at all. And so you get a big clunky noise. Like a real thuddy noise when you change load, when you put in gear, when you accelerate, when you decelerate. There's big thump, like the engine's shifting around, because it is, right? You have the front motor mount you might want to look at, and you have the passenger side motor mount. When we do the 3.5-inch kit, we are lowering the passenger side motor mount by 1 inch. So it has two 10 mil bolts that go down there. If you have a noise that varies with vehicle road speed, you would look towards things that rotate proportionate to road speed. So CV axles, drive shaft, things like that. And then of course there's tire noises, because a lot of people put a lift kit on their vehicle and wheels and tires at the exact same time. And so you may be getting noise from one thing as well as the secondary thing that you've put on the vehicle. And if you've had your truck in the shop and it got a lift kit and wheels and tires and a canopy and a rooftop tent and a bunch of wiring, well, this will help a little bit, but you might have other sources of noise. With the 3.5-inch kit again, I've had a couple phone calls where people put the steering bearing together in the wrong order in the top hat. And they can get a noise from the upper steering bearing on the strut. And the cure is to just disassemble it and put it in the right order. Also, we supply a smaller head bolt on the 3.5-inch kit, which goes on the coupler for the steering shaft as it goes through the firewall. And the reason we put the smaller head bolt on that is if you leave the stock bolt on, it'll hit the sheet metal and start carving into the sheet metal of the firewall. It's not going to cause you any problems. It's just going to make an annoying noise when you steer the wheel. It's not a safety issue. It's just a customer satisfaction issue. So I hope this gives you a good start on diagnosing where your noises can come from and how to think about it. If you have other questions about it, you can contact me and maybe I'll make another video. Hope you have a great day.